Hello, my gorgeous Tauruses, and happy December, and Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Look, I have amazing opening. I just can't wait to get more details. You have commitment. You have message in a bottle. Yep, it's Mercury retrograde. You'll get a whole bunch of messages, but what kind of messages? What kind of swords? And voila, you have the rune of the sun. It almost looks like a thunder, and I know it's kind of confusing, but this is basically the rune of victory. So let's actually kind of shuffle these cards and see really more about that, because I am really so excited about it. So let me start. Okay, Taurus, look at this. You have the Tower here on the bottom. But before I start, so you can just keep this on your mind while we are going through that. This month is a challenge, and challenge is like, I want to meet you. So just like, please stop by and say hi, because not everybody can. Like, tune into my live readings. By the way, live readings are every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But in the absence of that, hey, please just like drop me a line. Hey, I'm so and so, I'm from this country, right? It kind of like really means a lot to me, because it kind of like feels lonely just like having this one-sided. So please engage. So let's go into this Tower, right? Nobody really likes when this kind of card shows up, right? But this card is really talking about, symbolically, about hard-won ancient knowledge. It's also the end of something, often by a realization or revelation. And sometimes it's just like that aha moment, a struggle, and then, oh my gosh, I get it, right? It's really talking about that your life will kind of like be given attention to. Philosophy, you also have the High Priestess behind us, right? So it's going to be something about your belief system and your worldview. It kind of like sounds to me that you're like really adhering to your worldview, and that's kind of like really important. But it was something that was like feeling like a soft place to fall, like a cushion, and provide you stability and guidance. And you obviously move through life, but there is like no time that this was true with a capital T back then. Do you really want to live like yesterday, or you want to have like this completely new kind of new philosophy, new life, new things going on? It's going to be something that's going to happen, that's going to be something shocking. Like, we all have different impact, right? When the Tower happens, to me it's like almost like a punch in the gut, right? It kind of like, it really feels that kind of like a thing. And when you kind of like get over that shock, reevaluate, right? See what survived the crash, see what you can salvage, and see what no longer is useful. So that way it's going to kind of like help you move forward. This simply can mean getting a messages here from somebody that maybe, is not what you want, or it is not what you want to hear. But it also could be that it is like exactly what doctor ordered, right? So let's see what else. We have Eight of Wands. Oh my gosh, like, this is kind of like lovely, and especially Message in a Bottle has this kind of like romantic feeling about it, that somebody really wanted to kind of like send this kind of like energy out there, and you are receiving somebody's energy, and this kind of like has a high intensity in this. And Eight of Wands is the card that really talks about being showered with messaging. So we keep getting this kind of like a thing over here. Somebody definitely is expressing possible their interest, their love. This is a really good card in that respect, but it's also a card of traveling. And Yoi and Yoi, both of these kind of like things during Mercury retrograde is kind of like toughy. Keep in mind that like lots of exes kind of like crawl to the surface during the Mercury retrograde, or we contact them. It kind of like that energy flows both ways, and you contact them because they're thinking about you. So obviously kind of like it kind of like goes this catch 22. And that Mercury retrograde is always giving us that opportunity, the time where we can kind of like adjust, where we can kind of like reassess things from the past, right? It's kind of like you need one more exam, and you usually pass that very last exam during the Mercury retrograde, right? You finalize certain things, and you kind of like are moving to the next stage. What is the next stage going to be? Well, we are going to see. And you have this Nine of Cups. It is kind of like really good kind of like feeling. It kind of, you're stabilizing on your own, you are enjoying probably the holidays, you're enjoying everything that is going on, and I guess maybe you're also open for other people to come in. So maybe this kind of like really talks about dating, but that dating, I feel, is going to go in a completely different area. It's going to go in the area where, you know, you are undoing a lots of things with simply kind of like going on a new path. Let's remember this. It's kind of like a very strong card. It's kind of like really shifting you to a completely different thing. Have you ever kind of like took a ride on a streetcar and, you know, somebody says you have to leave now because they're shifting and they have like kind of like business? This is exactly what happens. It's something that is really messing up your plans, but it's done for a really big reason. So let's see what's on the bottom here. You have like Two of Swords. And it's kind of like talking about debating something. There's like some kind of decision, and it's kind of like really hard to take that decision. It is like definitely that is telling me that something that you don't want. There is an issue about kind of like a progress that maybe maybe that was like this kind of like essence of waiting that happens, and this waiting is finally happening. But there is like still something, and that's why the Tower will happen. You don't want to see like the kitty is blindfolded for a reason. First of all, just think about it. Walking this tightrope, getting somewhere, it's tough as it is. And now, right, it's like reversing. So it is like something that's going to be definitely shaken down. You're going to not have that balance. It's going to be trying to find your sea legs all this kind of like time. And there it is again. Like we have like now yet another 7, like 16, 1 and 6 is 7, and we have a 7. And 7 of Swords reversed, it's falling in your past, and this is really telling me that it's kind of like reckoning at this moment and some kind of realization. For some of you was already there, like the door open, cracked open. You're already kind of like realizing where chips will fall. It's kind of like you're seeing them in the air, you see them falling. Maybe they're not completely down, but you kind of like already have a feeling about what's going to happen. This actually also can talk about apologies and explanation and clarification, because after all, it is kind of like Swords. So that could have been the message that you have received, and maybe could be about some kind of commitment, could be about something that, you know, it could be linked with the heart, because the Sun in tarot links with Leo and talks about his commitment and children and celebration, right? This is also kind of like a very positive, like, I mean, rune. It actually shines light and kind of like can delete many negative effects of the reading. So from this darkness, you're going straight to the light, and that's really, really good. So let's see what's above you. Look at all these dark cards that you have. Maybe some of you have been going, like, I mean, through the shadow, walking through the shadow of valley, from the shadow of the death. Okay, so I know you're going to laugh at me. So this is kind of like what's happening. There is like telling me that there is like some unnecessary suffering over here. Somebody's prolonging something that is actually not supposed to be painful. So this kind of like is the card that usually says, look, if you want to continue this, that's fine, but then you have only yourself to blame. So it is kind of like really a warning in itself that's basically happening over here. And then you have like this King of Wands. Oh boy, where is my angry unicorn? King of Wands is like so much fun, and he's actually not cutie kind of like thing like this. It would be more like this. He's like sleek and fun, and hey babe, like, I mean, let's play the mini golf together, let's do something, right? But then he kind of like vanishes, and you're kind of like left wondering, like, I mean, hey, did he not like me? You kind of like they can shred self-esteem. This person also can kind of like go in a hardcore press, tell you like really everything you want to hear, and then flop, kind of like they disappear. And it's usually the people who really want to manipulate something and get it in the moment. And I'm wondering if this is like some kind of like connection that you have it, or be very careful if you want kind of like instant happiness. I do see unbelievable amount of opportunities. I really, really do. But I also see that you might be attracting people who will be too good to be true. So, you know, slow and steady wins the race. So let me see your emotions. You have the star reversed, and look at all these kind of like meters that I have. Like star reversed, it tells me that some of you are having winter blues, and some of you really want something that you want. It almost like tells me that here is the goal that you set for yourself. Well, karma maybe has this as a goal, but because you're pulling it so hard, it's kind of like swimming upstream, and it's kind of like really, really hard, because this is really telling me that some of your chakras are out of alignment, that you really need to address maybe some health issues. And it could be like that some of you are unfortunately very, very depressed. And maybe you're depressed because simply you, instead of like, how to put it that you guys don't explode at me, like you don't really want to be alone. So instead of like really finding something that is energizing you, you're more or less kind of like taking pity on yourself. And that's kind of like a really what perpetuates and makes this like kind of hole bigger. So it is like, you know, literally you have to help yourself a little bit and motivate yourself, at least kind of like force yourself to laugh a little bit, and kind of like the energy is going to start evolve better. So let's see your environment, and there is like yet another 7, so you're getting a theme, right? 777, and this one is reversed, and this is really talking about that somebody here just like kind of like really didn't want to build something or couldn't build something. The 7 of Pentacles is like that slow that I was telling you about. So this person is not slow. This person wants something fast, but they are not going to go and commit. They're going to give you indication of everything that's going to happen, but not going to do that. And 7 of Pentacles, when it reverses, like here it is like when we are reassessing, hey, you know what, actually I really wanted a tree to grow. Well, I only have a shrub. Did I do something wrong? No. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing and kind of like maybe reassess kind of like how do I go about it, but I definitely want to continue on this path. So let's see hopes and fears. And you have a Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords is kind of like where you reach the point that you really minimize. So you can say, well, back then, this is what was happening. And today, this is what is happening. It's the same. So what changed? Nothing changed, and nothing will change. So I have to kind of like do things differently. And that could be like really that moment of reckoning that I see here. That's literally where you get out of that emotions, because I'm seeing, look at this air, you're going to be more like logical because emotions are getting in trouble. You're having this very kind of like, both Scorpio and Aquarius are signs that will kind of like really push you to the extreme of your emotional edges, right? One Aquarian kind of energy can even push you to the point that you're like scaring yourself in a situation that actually is not happening. So that's why it is like removing this blindfold, face whatever it is. If you think you're going to die, like I mean with 4 cats and old lady, you know, I always laugh at this. I actually did have a friend who basically, when I got my first kitty, said, oh, I'm going to die like an old lady with cats. Okay, so how is this different from dying as an old lady? It's just like kind of like sometimes you have to find like kind of humor in it, like I mean, and laugh at it. Because I just like see that you are not finding humor. Maybe this commitment means that you really wanted somebody to commit, or that you are ready to commit. But I'm seeing here that you still need to learn that it takes 2 to tango, and that a partner is really needed to kind of like roll in the same direction as you. And guess what? And somebody else might just do just like that. And this is really a good fit for you. There's like somebody else appearing, but it looks like you need to cut somebody off before somebody else appears. You need to be clear. It's like a clean slate. As long as you're kind of sending these vibes, people pick up on it. Be very, very, very careful. People really, really pick up on it, that certain things are going on, and they will kind of like call your bluff. So be careful about that. So let's kind of like see what else we get. But before I go in clarification, let me just really tell you about this rune, because in spite of all of the stuff that I'm seeing here, this rune is like extremely promising. Honestly, whenever I see this rune, so well, I'm thinking of Harry Potter and the scar that he had on his head, right? Because this is really talking to justice, right? This is talking about, you know, the right actions will be taken and correct decisions. So almost you literally can walk blindfolded if you wish, because you'll be pushed to kind of like get into that kind of like level. This is a really good omen for your life and for your love. This is really something that predicts long-term successful relationship or partnership, something that is very contented, right? This doesn't have inverted meaning. As you can see, it's exactly the same. So this is really something extremely positive. And I really think that positivity will be that maybe you are accumulating a whole bunch of things that are coming your way, which kind of dragged you down or made you sad. And like you simply just like literally have to cut it short, because Queen of Swords is like cutting a cord, loosening all the chain. Like this works, this doesn't work. So something that didn't work up to this point, you know, like I don't know about you, but I have the dress that I was 18 when I wore it. It's still in my closet. Well, at some point you have to say thank you and goodbye, my dear friend. Kind of like things are not going to happen. And even if it does happen, you know, fashions are not exactly the same. So let me clarify a few cards here for you. Let's start with the Tower. And look at here, you have this like Two of Cups, and it was like a really shakedown, and you have like Six of Wands. Somebody didn't want to commit. Somebody who you really had like really high hopes for. So some like, because this is usually the winner's card, because like now this butterfly just opened its wings, right? And here like we have these two roses, like I mean celebration. But this is maybe where the shakedown is. Maybe you're hoping that something or somebody is going to come through, and hence this kind of like message in a bottle. And that kind of like is not happening. So now we have like these two twos, and it's kind of like somebody who is putting you out of balance. I'm pretty sure it's this fellow over here. So let's, because like this is also connecting, like, or you might hear from somebody and again jump into something that probably has been in the past that you managed to kind of like sort things out, but it's kind of like resurfacing. And this is what bothers me, because this person is really not good for you. Maybe you think it is, but that's maybe why you're having this kind of like message in a bottle, because you know this is about communication. It's about oracles, it's about card readings. So hello, you know, call cattarot.ca for your tarot reading. Allow yourself to become fluent in language of symbols and oracles and omens. It's going to happen like weirdly, especially now around Christmas time, where we just buy a whole bunch of ornaments. You're going to find an ornament that is going to really talk to you. You might actually create your own, like I mean, message in a bottle, and it's kind of like really going to be something positive, something that it can be in the form of a letter, phone, call, email, even in text, right? So be open, because whatever happens, it's going to be something that is going to come really good in the end. But there is a caveat. You need to acknowledge the signs, right? So if you have like something happening and somebody is saying, oh my gosh, the brakes are not working, it's, I don't know, I'm just fine. Like, hello, you know, then don't blame the cards. You can just like blame you, because trouble might be hiding in the bushes when I see cards like that, right? If something doesn't sit right with you, like this is like obviously where you're getting this benefit. And kind of like, as I said, spirit has your best interest at heart, and it's going to draw attention to something that you are looking. And I really think in this particular case, in your case, is there something that is connecting to your emotions about somebody who looks like had some kind of like turbulence and maybe didn't really want to work or build things with you. So let's see this Death reversed. Absolutely, look here, the Chariot. You have the Chariot reversed, and you have the World. Now we have three majors. Certainly, like the majors are sometimes connected with basically horoscope signs. I'm going to tell you all about that. But like, I mean, sometimes it really, like, I mean, as Freud said, sometimes cigar is just a cigar. So usually when the death reverses, it's really talking about some kind of transformation that has to take place, and it didn't take place. And it's like, imagine the butterfly that you see over here is sticking in a cocoon that doesn't really want to kind of like open its butterfly pretty wings and fly. It's not going to, it would die, right? So you almost like don't have an option with this card. So these two cards usually happen simultaneously when the person kind of like already knows stuff and it's refusing to see it, right? So this is kind of like saying, look, you need to transform, something needs to end. But it really looks to me something kind of like went through the ditch. I kind of like see lots of traveling cards over here, lots of communication going in all kinds of directions back and forth. And this is like a karma card, lesson accomplished, things done. You're just like done working on it. No need to kind of like continue going any kind of like further than this. And the world and is also talking about some kind of like spiritual motion forward, where that understanding that you kind of like, as I said, chips were falling, you were kind of like getting clues. Right now it's so clear and so firm. You know, sometimes we fall in love with people and we want them badly, and then, you know, there's like 6 months sort of like intermezzo in between, and you look at the same person and you're thinking to yourself, what was I thinking? In a sense. So anyway, guys, it could be Scorpio, it could be Aries, it could be Cancer, it could be Aquarius, Leo, or another Taurus that is kind of like really connecting to it. But I'm also seeing really quite a bit of all signs, because you're having kind of like all this like 4 suits over here. And do I have any major yet? Yes, and I have the star reversed. So here we have repetition of this messaging. And look at here, 3 of Pentacles. There is like kind of like something you really wanting to make work. Really kind of expectation. You're expecting the messages. Almost looks like you might actually want to force it, or you might be the one who is a messenger. I don't know if that's a word in like, I mean, but this kind of like really talks about there's like a fire and things, and maybe there are going to be messages that are going to make you feel happy. Maybe there's like arrival of this new person, but you're deciding, okay, whatever is in the past, I'm going to leave it in the past, because trust me, this is now the time where people actually do come out of the woodwork. Not only it's Christmas time, but it's also Mercury retrograde. So if you're not hearing from somebody you want to hear, or if you're the one who broke it off and you want to hear from them, don't wait for them to kind of call you, because you need to kind of like do it first. If this communication is there, and if it actually shows up for you, and you feel like there are some kind of like stop signs, you need to listen to that, right? Because I told you there is going to be that, you know, Sobella that is going to play a really big role over here for you. So my dear Taurus, as I said, it's a challenge this month. Leave me a message, because I really want to know which card of these cards was the most representing you. Where do you kind of like position, like what kind of message is it that you want to send to the universe? Because I don't know if most people understand, but like, I mean, this is kind of like where the spirit gathers and there's the energy, and like just leaving a comment is actually sending, like, I mean, that energy to the universe. So I invite you to do that, and lovely would be to hear from you. That's my Christmas wish, and hopefully, you know, you can put me on your list, and all I ask is a tiny little comment. So thank you so much. If you want to get a free reading from me, please kind of contact me via cattarot.ca. And to support this site, please order the annuals. They're going to be done by the end of the year. So it is still reduced price right now, and hopefully you will kind of like find a second or two and support the channel. Thank you so much, and until the next time, you know that I love you. All the best. Thank you.